Welcome to Oops, I'm Evolving. I'm Morgan, and this is the podcast where we take those big, mind-blowing spiritual concepts and break them down into the real life shit you can actually use. Because let's be honest, real growth doesn't happen in the highlight reel. It happens in the shadows, in the messy, uncomfortable WTF moments. So let's talk about it, air it all out, and level up. Hey, welcome back to Oops, I'm Evolving. Today we are working through something together, honestly, because it's something that is current in my life. And I was having this conversation with my mom, who is on the same path as we all are. And I was talking about these mental gymnastics that I was doing to figure out my intuition. So, if you ever catch yourself completely overthinking something, twisting it every which way in your head, trying to justify it, that's what I call those mental gymnastics. And what's interesting is that deep down, you already know the answer and you're ignoring your intuition, but you're trying to make it right in your mind. So, this episode is for anyone that's ever been in that position. And I'll give you an example. So I had this interaction with someone that I would have called a friend. It was a moment in time where I couldn't unsee the thing that I just saw. I could not move forward from that situation. It was like a big red, like, slam on the brakes. Wow, I saw something. I can't forget this. I can't let it go. I can't unsee it. And from that moment on, that person really hasn't been in my life. Well, I was around that person recently, and I was trying to make sense of what my body was telling me. I was trying to do all of these, this person's not a bad person. And, maybe this experience wasn't as legit as I thought it was. And, maybe I just am a little ego wounded by this person because I felt like they did me wrong. I felt like they did me dirty. And so now maybe I'm just a little jaded, right? First of all, I'm not really a jaded person, but that's where I was going with all of this is, Morgan, maybe you are just a little jaded and maybe you're just reading into these behaviors too much and all of these things I was telling myself, but I really in my gut, I just know that that's not the truth. And now here I am battling with my brain. So I wanted to make this episode for any of you whose intuition has screamed at you and in your body, you just fucking know. You just know. But now here you are in your brain doing all of these mental gymnastics because, maybe I'm just overreacting or maybe this is normal and you're just trying to rationalize and justify and twisting the situation to fit. And the thing is like you already know the truth. Your intuition has already spoke. You already know. You maybe just don't want it to be true because in my situation it's going to affect future interactions. It's going to affect different people that we both have in each other's lives. Me standing in my power and standing on my truth, even if it's silent, is going to affect the people around me. It just bottom line will. And to be truthful, it already has. So I was put in a situation where it was like, okay, I am around this person now, and it's like, how do I still be true to myself and still uphold these boundaries that have been so important to me while not giving this person all of my energy and while still maintaining the delicate balance that we have as human beings and doing the things that we want to do and the ways that we can support other people. So it was interesting for me because I was like, okay, I'm learning. I do not want to put myself in this situation again. I am learning that I was correct the first go around, and here I am experiencing it for a second go around. And I'm telling you, energetically, things were off. And what's so interesting is that other people believe when I tune into energy. And other people believe when I'm like, and I believe for other people when I tune into things for them and I can, read their cards or go into that. But then when things come to me, that's when I start doing those mental gymnastics. So if you ever feel like that's you, this episode is for you. And quite honestly, you're not alone in it. I am currently moving through this and currently validating myself and my own intuition even though I don't have physical proof, I have my intuition and it's screaming at me to listen. So I am trusting it and I am listening. I am listening. So, okay, fine. Maybe you don't necessarily resonate with the mental gymnastics, but one other way that ignoring your intuition and trying to justify it can show up for you is maybe in the over planning of things when you're trying to map everything out because your body doesn't like really know what's going on and you're like, okay, well, if this happens, then I'll do this. And, if you're just kind of prepping yourself to be in a certain situation, or maybe you feel yourself over explaining, you're trying to get people on board with your feelings because you have these feelings, but now you just feel like you have to over explain them because you're just trying to make sense of what doesn't feel right. That's the thing with intuition is it doesn't make sense. And even when you look at your human design and your authority, there's nothing there's nothing that says like, okay, yep, this is going to make sense for you. It's like it unfortunately most of the time it doesn't make rational sense. And that's the thing that is so hard to connect when your brain is telling you, "Hey Morgan, this doesn't make rational sense," but your body is saying like, "Hey, yo, there is something up here that you don't want to be around," right? So, another way that your body can scream at you when your intuition is speaking is through physical symptoms. Maybe your gut aches, maybe you have a tight chest, maybe all of a sudden you get a migraine, especially when you're doing something that you quote unquote should do. This can happen a lot with food too. Like you're eating foods that you quote unquote should eat, but they're just not sitting right with you. Or you're always around this one person and your body is having a physical manifestation or gosh, you hear all these stories that are about people that are working in jobs that are out of alignment for them and they're just having like constant migraines and having all of these physical manifestations to doing something that their brain has told them that they should do even when your intuition is screaming at you. So maybe your situation isn't as nuanced as mine. Maybe your situation is like your intuition is telling you that your job is not where you should be anymore. I would really start to pay attention to how you feel when you go to work every day. If you know in your body that your job isn't right for you, but you're just not quite ready to take that leap, start paying attention to any physical manifestations that are coming when you go to work every day. Another example of how things can show up for you is when you stay in that confusion mode for too long. And I know I just did this whole episode on clarity, so I won't dive into that. But if you feel like you stay in confusion mode, you should go back and listen to the clarity episode. That would be really good for you because staying in that confused mode of like, I just need clarity, that can be a security blanket. And it's often a trauma response. It's not a lack of information. Your intuition has already spoke. And if you are being honest, you're not confused. You're just really scared of that fallout, like I said in that episode. You're really afraid of what that clarity will require you to do. So in my situation, It's like I am very clear on that situation in my life and what that's going to require me to do. And it's going to require me to get really uncomfortable because I don't want to impact or affect anybody that's around me. I don't want to appear as somebody that has drama in their life. I don't want to appear as somebody that's not agreeable. I don't want to be that person that says, I'm actually not going to join you on that experience because I don't want to put myself around this person. Eee, that sounds so bad. I don't want to be that person. But what am I telling my body if I'm not that person? I'm telling myself that I'm not worthy of peace, that my uncomfortability is worth it because it'll make everybody else comfortable. That it's okay that I feel that I'm being treated a certain way or that energetically I don't want to. And once again, here I am trying to over explain. I just don't want to be around that person. It doesn't feel good to be around that person. I don't enjoy it. I it it's just yucky if I'm being wholehearted. So that now comes the uncomfortable action of drawing boundaries. And boundaries are so tough for, I think, literally all of us, but especially when you have a little bit of that wounding around being agreeable, being the nice person. Oh, I don't want to be full of drama. I don't want to make my problems everybody else's problems. I'm just making this up. It's okay, Morgan. It'll be fine. You can just ignore it. You can keep moving forward. Yeah. Does anybody else have that? You can just ignore it. How many times have we been told that as kids? And we tell our kids that. Just ignore it. Walk away. It's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. When it makes your intuition scream, when it doesn't make you feel good, when you are putting yourself in a position over and over and over that you walk away feeling you're not self-theme in human design. So whatever that not self-theme is, when you walk away feeling that, when you walk away questioning and reading into every little thing that you experienced during that situation, during that experience. Like, no. When you are over analyzing everything, that situation is not a situation you should be in. Because when you're amongst people that you feel safe with, that you feel loved by, that you feel comfortable with, you do not question every little thing that comes up. I was recently talking to a friend of mine, and this friend is always like the most respectful person I know. And she's always very cautious when offering me advice, and she almost hinders what she's saying because she's so careful not to overstep or to say something that is going to set anyone off. And I was telling her that when I'm around people that I feel safe and love and I trust, I always give those people the benefit of the doubt. So if you're like me and you don't typically question people's motivations, you don't typically read between the lines and try to figure out what they really meant when they said this or anything like that. And then all of a sudden you experience that you are doing that. Girl, it ain't you. I just want to say it's not you. It's your brain trying to do those mental gymnastics to figure out why that energy felt off. What were you experiencing? And it leaves you feeling confused because you are like, whoa, 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 something was off there. And now I'm trying to rationalize my intuition. And intuition just cannot be rationalized. Another thing, and this leads me into what I was just saying, another way that ignoring your intuition can come across is when you're shrinking or you're silencing yourself. When you're thinking to yourself, It's probably just me. Maybe I'm overthinking. I don't want to seem crazy. I don't want to seem like I'm the drama, like it's my fault. Once again, this is not self-awareness. If you are really always pulling back and looking at yourself and figuring out what you're doing and you're overanalyzing everything, that is self-abandonment, my friend. That is a worthiness wound, just that's sugar coated. And you're trying to say, how much of this is self awareness and how much of this is me doing the work? Yeah, I'm telling you, if you're questioning that about yourself because of a situation, not to say that you can't do self reflection, okay? I really think that self reflection and self awareness obviously is so important. It's one of my huge teachings. But when you're always trying to cast blame on yourself in a situation and you're finding yourself doing all of these mental gymnastics, it's really, really a sign for you to maybe just withdraw your energy, maybe put up some boundaries, maybe nix that person or that situation or that thing altogether. Give yourself some breathing room because when you step away from it and you realize, like, oh, wow, I'm not causing myself mental anguish about any other situation in my life except for that one. All right, ding, ding, ding. There's a red flag there. So, why do we do this? It is all conditioning. It's obviously the exact reason is probably pretty specific to the situation that you're experiencing or your exact conditioning. But one of the reasons is maybe you were taught to be nice. And being taught to be nice can cause us to doubt ourselves to keep the peace because we're like, listen, I don't want to uproot anybody else. I can just let this go. I'll just let it roll off my shoulders, whatever. But then it it comes up when you're alone, right? That's when you start spinning out. Another thing is we are often rewarded for using logic and we're dismissed for using your emotion or your intuition because, emotions are known as unreliable and so is intuition, believe it or not. So when we can logic our way out of things, that's what's praised, right? Being a very logical person. Another thing that can have us ignoring our intuition is a trauma response. Maybe you're taught to scan for danger and to not listen to yourself. A lot of the times when we've experienced a lot of trauma, we just become hyper vigilant and we're not really in tune with our body. So, we have been trained as children to listen to authority figures, listen to experts, listen to elders, and completely disconnect from the wisdom of our own body. Very, very simple explanation of this is all authority types in human design, you have no idea why you're making that decision because your intuition doesn't give you this, like, oh, you should do this because this. No, it doesn't give you this well-rounded plan. That's our brain that then crafts that around our intuition. And oftentimes, your brain is hardwired from trauma, it's hardwired from the way that your parents taught you to be. And once again, your brain is just not what we want to be making decisions from. I bet you can think of a moment in your life where you just knew something in your bones. So, for instance, I know in my bones that I am right about this person, but we have a lot of people in common. We have a lot of people in common who if I told them my true feelings about this person, they would say, no way. I do not agree with that at all. This person is great. I've had nothing but amazing experiences with this person, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? I just want to say two things can be true at the same time. They can have amazing experiences with that person and me still be right about this energy for me. Okay. So it's like I know in my bones And I also know that if I try to talk about this with other people, they will try to convince me that my intuition is wrong. So I just don't even want to talk about it with anyone because I don't want to have to argue with them about my intuition. So if you have experienced that where other people try to talk you out of it or you let your mind talk you out of it, I want you to start asking, what is that cost to you? Is it your self-worth? Are you slowly telling yourself and teaching yourself that you're not worth getting yourself out of a situation that makes you uncomfortable, or that you being uncomfortable is okay? Yeah, it doesn't feel good to go there. So, some questions to ask yourself to get clear about what it actually feels like in your body when you're ignoring versus when you're listening to your intuition is, do I feel at peace or in panic? This is a huge one because when you're listening to your intuition, there is a strong sense of peace that comes with it. Yeah, sure, you might be like, oh shit, now I got to draw this boundary. It's going to make so and so really uncomfortable, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, in your body that you're right. The fallout of you being right might be really uncomfy, but you know that you're at peace with your decision. It's like one of those things where you can ask yourself, if nothing in your external life had to change, would you feel at peace with that decision? And then it's like, okay, there's your answer. Another question is, am I reaching for logic because my truth feels scary? In my situation, my truth does feel really scary. My truth is very strong. It is so strong that I'm uncomfortable with it. But unfortunately, that's my truth. I can't move past that. It does feel really scary. And I think that's truthfully what has me doing all of these mental gymnastics. A third question is my mind trying to protect me from discomfort that my body has already accepted? So in my case, my mind 100% is trying to keep me protected from discomfort. I don't want to be the drama. I don't want to be the person that makes everybody else uncomfortable. I don't want to, when everybody's together, have this be like this huge elephant in the room, which it already is. Anyways, there's all of this. I don't want to be the problem person, right? But my body has already accepted the truth. Like I said, it is loud. I can't get past it. Your intuition is simple and it is direct. It is like, man, you just know it. And there's no spinning, there's no complication, there's no anxiety. So I want you to really look at these micro moments and the breath that you hold, the tightening of your jaw, the stomach clench. Know that your body is speaking to you. It always, always knows. And if you want to know exactly how your intuition speaks to you, that's where your human design comes in handy. And today is the last day to grab your human design reading at 25% off. So just head over to unfilteredgrowthcode.com and you can grab yours. So what I always suggest to people when they're learning to know their intuition is just to start with really low stakes decisions. When you're stepping into following your authority in human design, you're not going to listen to it when it's like huge stake decisions, when it's like a job change, a relationship change, even, the situation that I'm describing. You're not going to listen to your intuition through that. You're just not. It's going to feel too big, too scary. That safety has not been built up. So that's when you can really, really just start with those low stakes decisions. And one thing I want you to do is stop trying to justify it to people. Stop asking for validation. I did this the other day and I regretted it immediately because I was like, oh, great. I didn't get the validation I was seeking. I didn't actually even need the validation. But here, this sneaky part of me thought maybe you did. And now you have to stand up for yourself. Now it almost feels like a fight, and it's like, I just wish I would have kept my mouth shut. So when you feel these things, sometimes it is just yours and it doesn't translate to other people. Like I said, two truths can be truths at the same time. Other people can be in alignment for other people, and it can be still totally 100% out of alignment for you. So just because something is right for somebody else does not make it right for you. Just because somebody else had this experience does not mean that your experience is invalid. So that's where your intuition gets really, really tricky. So just voicing what you need when you need it instead of trying to educate people on your feelings and why is going to be really important for you. Another thing that will be helpful for you is when you can start tracking your truth. Start journaling the moments where you felt something, where you were like, my intuition is going off. And then write down whether you honored it or whether you steamrolled it. The goal of this is so that you can see the pattern of like, oh gosh, dang it, I knew it. When you can start keeping track of that, when you can start keeping track of all the times where you're like, why didn't I listen? I knew it, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. You'll start to be able to see all the times that you don't listen to yourself. And then alternatively, when you start listening and you see the way it works out for you, really start listening to the times that you do recognize. And the other thing I want to say that can be really, really difficult along this journey is that your intuition can ask you to do really big, really hard, really uncomfortable things. And it's like it may not pay off in the physical world. Sometimes we have to cut things off, cut people off, do things that make us really uncomfortable, and we may not see the immediate result from that thing. Because it's like, okay, you did one thing for yourself. Good job. Now spirit's going to ask you to do something else for yourself, right? And it's like it can feel like this big uphill battle. It can be really difficult to navigate through. So if that's where you are right now, I just want to say you're amongst friends here. And sometimes it takes building that muscle, doing these hard things a couple times before you really start to see like the payoff from it. And if you're sitting here going like, oh man, I really need to get better at listening to my intuition, and you're listening to this podcast and you're just kind of beating yourself up for it, I just want to say that ignoring your intuition isn't just a bad habit. It's a learned survival skill. But the truth is that you don't need to survive anymore. You are safe to trust yourself now, and you don't need the perfect explanation. You just need a permission slip to believe in your body. Remember, listen to the whisper, not to the panic. Your intuition is steady, and it's always been there, and it's there for you to trust. All right, that's it for today's episode of Oops, I'm Evolving. Thanks for hanging out and diving into the messy, real shit with me. If you're loving the vibe, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and find me on socials to keep the conversation going. Remember, growth isn't always pretty, but damn, it's worth it. Catch you next time.